Speaker, there are people who are coming here who want to come to cut your lawn and have a better life. But there are people who want to cut your throat.
Amnesty costs a fortune. Amnesty could also cost something more than just money. It could cost a nation.
Now is Frank Vandersloot, who sits on the board of directors for the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and is CEO of Molecula Incorporated, a household consumer products company whose name I may have just butchered. There you go, Melaleuca. Thank you very much. Frank, it's wonderful to have you here. And I got to say, you are someone who's quite influential in the Republican Party. You're a big donor. You're a big Romney supporter. You're also a very outspoken advocate of getting comprehensive immigration reform done. Do you basically buy my analysis that it's going to come down to John Boehner making this gutsy, bold choice to get this thing to the floor? Is that how you understand it?
Look, I don't, Chris, thank you for having me today, but I don't know the makeup of the House specifically and personally, but I will tell you that the polls that we've seen say that the vast majority of Republicans in Republican states are for immigration reform. And so this poll by the Public Policy Polling and Harper Polling, I don't know if you're familiar with it, done by a bipartisan group, the SEIU, Republicans for Immigration Reform, and the National Immigration Forum. They tell us that in Republican states, conservative states, poll of Republicans only, from depending on the state, 61% to 78% of Republicans are in favor of immigration reform. So if these congressmen are listening to their constituents, they will pitch in and help us. Now, they may have some special interests that they're afraid of. I'm not sure. Here's the problem, though. That polling, I've seen polling that's similar, and I think that polling is largely right. But there is an intensity gap, which is to say, I've heard members of Congress from the Republican Party saying our switchboards are getting lit up by people who are opposed to amnesty, quote unquote. There are the rallies on the Capitol lawn. Your job, as I understand it, folks like you who are committed, well-known Republicans, is to try to put a thumb on the other scale. And so my question is, when you're inside a room with a member of Congress from the Republican Party who's on the fence on this, what are you telling them? How are you trying to sell them on this? Well, in the first place, I will tell you that every single senator that I've talked to and every single congressman that I've talked to is pro-immigration reform. So I'm not sure who the players are that you're talking about. But I will tell you that I would appeal to just common sense. And a little bit of compassion. This is not a Democrat issue. It's not a Republican issue. This is a humanitarian issue. And common sense would say that we solve this issue of 11 million undocumented Hispanic only. There are others beside the Hispanic community. 11 million. And they're going to come. They're going to be here. And you can't blame them for being here. If you knew these people, and I've talked to many of them personally, I know many of them personally. If you hear their stories, you would have compassion on them, and you would say they're good people. They just love their families. They want to be in a good country where they can have good jobs. Some of them want to just come and work here and go home, and they want to do that legally. And we should give them the opportunity. But Frank, you're saying that to me, and I completely agree with you. But there was a rally on the Capitol lawn today where the guy got up at the microphone saying these people want to come and cut your throat, right? That's the rhetoric that a lot of the people that are in the base of the Republican Party are hearing from their leadership. I don't think they're hearing that from their leadership at all. I don't think that's coming from the Republican leadership at all. I certainly haven't heard it, and I think I'm pretty well connected. You're hearing that from radical groups that lack common sense, that are drinking somebody's Kool-Aid, certainly not the Kool-Aid from the Republican Party, and I do not believe that the vast majority of Republicans or any leadership of the Republican Party believe that or saying that or telling that to people. I've not heard it a single time. I hope that is true, and I hope that manifests itself in the House of Representatives. I'd love to have you back and talk about it again.